Hi folks, I'm Raz, and in today's lesson we will practice PTE Academic's listening summary spoken text, so let's get started. Here you can take a look at my score report as I scored 74 points, which is equivalent to 7.5 bands in ALS, so I'm going to share with you the latest tips and tricks to help you score a good band. Now, the way we convert the PT score to IELTS score is if you score 86 and above, it's a 9 band, 83 to 85 is 8.5, 79 to 82 is 8, 73 to 78 is 7.5, 65 to 72 is 7, and the list goes on. In PT listening, we have all in all 8 tasks between 30 to 43 minutes. Task 1 is summarize spoken text, total 10 points. Content is 2, form 2, grammar 2, vocab 2, spelling 2. Task 2 is multiple choice question, multiple answers, 1 each correct and -1 for the incorrect answer. Task 3 is fill in the blanks, 1 point each. Task 4 is highlight correct summary, 1 point each. Task 5 is multiple choice question, single answer, 1 point each. Task 6 is select missing word, 1 point each. Task 7 is highlight incorrect words, 1 point each, and -1 for incorrect. And task 8 is write from dictation, 1 point each word spelled correctly. So let's start and take a look at the format. Now, in 2022, the new test format is that summarized spoken text will now be 1 to 2 instead of 2 to 3. Multiple choice question, multiple answers will again be 1 to 2 instead of 2 to 3. Highlight correct summaries 1 to 2. Multiple choice single answer is 1 to 2. Select missing word is 1 to 2. Alright, so let's take a look at the scoring. Content is 2. Now 2, 1, and 0. So provide a good summary of each of the text. Form is you need to write between 50 to 70 words. Grammar is correct grammatical errors. Make sure the structure you follow. Vocabulary, appropriate choice of word. Use proper lexical resource. And spelling, make sure you write correct spelling, because even if you do one spelling error, you lose 1 point. Alright, so let's take a look at the format now. Number of questions is 1 to 2. Just like retail lecture, you will listen to an audio recording and you can take notes. In this section, you will listen to the audio lecture for about 80 to 90 seconds. Once the audio is played, the candidate has to write everything that has been listened to. This section clubs listening and writing skills. Your score will be calculated based on the accuracy and relevancy of the summary to the audio lecture. So you have to sum up the audio lecture in the most precise form. Here you have to write a summary of the lecture in 10 minutes. This is the only listening question with time limitation. The word limit for your summary is 50 to 70 words. Moving on to the tips and strategy. First of all, as soon as the audio begins, you should listen attentively for the key points. Your focus should not be to merely catch some words, but to understand the theme of the audio. Take some notes as you listen. This will help you to remember the main points. Don't write down whole sentences, only the key points. Any word that seems to be important in the context of the audio, that is what you should note down. In your mind, form connections between the words as you listen. Try to draw up a picture or a scene corresponding to what you hear. This is the best way to listen to and understand a spoken text. Once the audio ends, you have 10 minutes to frame your response. Don't start writing immediately. First, spend a couple of minutes reviewing your notes and adding to them based on your understanding of the audio. This exercise will give you some solid key points to start with. Next, look at all the points that you have and separate the essential from the not so important. Unnecessary examples, additional details, etc. are not needed in a summary. Finally, you will be left with only the most important points. Start putting together in a summary. Unlike summarized text, you can write more than one sentence here, but you should still stick to the word limit of 50 to 70 words. If you end up writing 2 or 3 sentences, make sure to check that the sentences are linked to each other properly. In the end, review your grammar, review for any spelling and punctuation marks, and then submit your response confidently. Alright, so let's move on to some practice now. Now, this is how your screen looks like. You will hear a short lecture. Write a summary for a fellow student who was not present at the lecture. You should write 50 to 70 words. You have 10 minutes to finish this task. Your response will be judged on the quality of your writing and on how well your response presents the key points presented in the lecture. So let me start with the practice 1. Now here, all you're going to be listening is what I will say and the notes later on that you can make. So here we go. Practice 1. So my mother's a pediatrician, and when I was young, she'd tell the craziest stories that combined science with her overactive imagination. One of the stories she told was that if you eat a lot of salt, all of the blood rushes up your legs, through your body, and shoots out the top of your head, killing you instantly. She called it high blood pressure. This was my first experience with science fiction and I loved it. So when I started to write my own science fiction and fantasy, I was surprised that it was considered un-African. So naturally I asked, what is African? And this is what I know so far. Africa is important. Africa is the future. It is though. And Africa is a serious place where only serious things happen. So when I present my work somewhere, someone will always ask what's so important about it. How does it deal with real African issues like war, poverty, devastation, or AIDS? And it doesn't. My work is about Nairobi pop bands that want to go to space or about 7-foot tall robots that fell in love. It's nothing incredibly important. It's just fun, fierce, and frivolous as bubble gum, Afro bubble gum. All right, folks, now you have 10 minutes time, and I'm sure the way you were listening to the passage, you would have made notes. So here I have made some notes which will help you to understand how you can put and make important notes. So mother pediatrician, young crazy stories, blood shoots out the top of your head, high blood pressure, science fiction or fantasy, un-African, Africa's future, serious, what is important about work, war, poverty, AIDS, it's not important, it's fun, fierce, frivolous, Afro bubblegum. So this is how the answer you can frame. The speaker was discussing her music and African heritage. She mentioned that her mother was a pediatrician and told her crazy stories. When she was young, she talked about how she was told that Africa is the future and is serious. She described how people ask if her work is about poverty, war, or AIDS. She says it isn't, suggesting that it is fun and frivolous like bubblegum, Afro bubblegum. So all in all, you need to make sure that you finish it in 70 words. Even if you write one extra word, you will lose marks. All right, so moving on to the practice 2 now. If you ask people what the 3 most important things that they carry are across cultures and across gender and across context, most people will say keys, money, and if they own one, a mobile phone. The question is why. So why are these things so important in our lives? And it turns out from our research that it boils down to survival for us and survival for our loved ones. So keys provide an access to shelter and warmth. Transport as well in the US increased. Money is useful for buying food, sustenance, among all its other uses. And a mobile phone, it turns out, is a great recovery tool. If you prefer this kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Those three objects are very good at supporting the lowest rungs of Maslow's hierarchy. And in particular, it is the mobile phone's ability to allow people to transcend space and time. And what I mean by that is, you can transit space by simply making a voice call, right? And you can transcend time by sending a message at your convenience, and someone else can pick it up at their convenience. And this is fairly universally appreciated, it turns out, which is why we have 3 billion plus people who have been connected and they value that connectivity. All right, folks, so here I have listed down certain notes, the three most important things that people carry: keys, money, and if they have one mobile phone. They are important for survival. Keys provide access to shelter and transport. Money can be used to buy food. The phone is a great recovery tool. These equate with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. With the mobile phone, you can be connected across time and space, and 3 million people use one. So let's take a look at the answer now. The speaker was discussing the three most important things that people carry. He mentioned that keys, money, and a mobile phone are important for survival. He talked about how these relate to Maslow's hierarchy of needs: shelter, food, and connectivity. He suggested that 3 billion people use a phone and we can be connected across time and space. All right, moving on to the last practice. When you get to a party, do you head for people your own age? Have you ever grumbled about entitled millennials? Have you ever rejected a haircut or a relationship or an outing because it's not age appropriate for adults? There is no such thing. All these behaviors are ageist. We all do them, and we can't challenge bias unless we are aware of it. Nobody's born ageist, but it starts at early childhood. Around the same time, attitudes towards race and gender start to form because negative messages about late life bombard us from the media and popular culture at every turn, right? Wrinkles are ugly, old people are pathetic, it's sad to be old. Look at Hollywood. A survey of recent Best Picture nominations found that only 12% of speaking or named characters were age 60 and up, and many of them were portrayed as impaired. Older people can be the most ageist of all because we've had a lifetime to internalize these messages and we've never thought to challenge them. I had to acknowledge it and stop colluding. Senior moment quips, for example, I stopped making them when it dawned on me that when I lost the car keys in high school, I didn't call it a junior moment. All right, so folks, moving on to the notes. Discrimination based on age, rejecting on the basis of age, no such thing for adults. Nobody's born ageist. Media bombards us with negatives. Hollywood 12% named characters 60 and up. Senior moment, same as junior moment. Okay, let's take a look at the answer now. The speaker was discussing ageism. She talked about discrimination based on the person's age. She mentioned rejecting a haircut or a relationship because it was age inappropriate. She discussed how Hollywood has about 12% of named characters over the age of 60. She suggested that no one is born ageist, and quipping about a senior moment didn't explain why, if she had a junior moment, she never passed comment on it. So thank you so much, folks, for watching this video, and keep watching more PT Academic videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.